So, what inspired you to get into a gym? Lifted up the couch and there was like what I can only describe as a crisp graveyard. So the school system did something right.
It actually did,
Yeah.
yeah. If you say you're going to do something and you do it, that builds your willpower.
Welcome to the Gel Fitness for Life podcast. Podcast that aims to bring you the best from the fitness world. Talking all things training, nutrition and mindset. Today we've got our first guest, which is Ben.
Hello.
I'll put like a crowd cheering noise there. Welcome, mate. Ben is firstly my brother and secondly a self-confessed fitness fanatic. Ben has set up a motivational mindset page under the username BEinspired_BR, that's inspired with 3 Ds, where he posts daily motivational videos to help you get up and going, with workouts, tips and powerful words to help you beat those barriers that are between you and the best version of you. Welcome, Ben. How are you doing?
It's good to be here. I'm alright.
First guest, no pressure.
That's it, no pressure. Let's go.
So, let's get straight into it.
Yep.
Want the people, obviously I know you, but the people behind the camera and who are listening on the streaming platforms don't know you. So, what inspired you to get into a gym? Why did you go to the gym?
I'd say wanting to get rid of the chubbiness. I was a little chubby when I was in school.
So how old are you when you went to the gym? You're like 16?
When I went to the gym, I was 16, but that came from when I was in school. I wasn't very sporty. I wanted to be, but I didn't have the level of confidence to take part in the sports until I got to year 11 and the option was there to pick health and fitness. I picked that and I realised, well, I'm good at this. You know, I don't have to be in a team. I can do my own thing and I can do this. Like, it doesn't really take much of a skill or a talent. And yeah, so I picked that option for the first month, and then you got to pick the rest of the options for the rest of the year. I picked health and fitness for the rest of the year, and that's where the spark came, because I realised I'm good at this and I can actually take part in things, you know. And ever since then, confidence just grew and grew and grew. And now I could play sports if I want to, but just fitness just got embedded into my DNA. And
so the school system did something right.
it actually did, yeah.
Excellent. Could you share like a specific moment or experience that influenced how you train? Because we'll get on to how you train in a minute, but for me, you train differently to most people I know.
Yeah.
So it's like a specific moment in your life or experience that made you train in the way that you do.
I think it's just I have a certain drive to want to do and be everything. That can be a positive and a negative. I'd say just from not being able to do such sports in school, and then finally finding something I was good at.
Like making up for lost time.
Making up for lost time, just like, I can do this, let's go.
Absolutely.
And it's just flourished from there.
Because you didn't get me in the gym, but you were definitely a driving force. Like, if you remember when we first started training together, I did a lot of boxing, but weights, wasn't really interested. I wasn't particularly strong. And then I saw sort of like the progression that you were making and the person it was sort of like making you become. And it was like, it seemed like way more interesting.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until, and again, I was in and out. I didn't really know anything about food. I just trained with people. I never really went on my own. It was more like a social thing than what it is now. Like, I'm on a plan and I have goals and stuff like that. So, because I know you were like that at the start. So where was the switch? Where did you go from just training because you were making up for lost time and obviously you enjoyed it, to like having specific goals? Because you've had 3 fights now, haven't you?
Yeah.
And we've competed in superhuman games. We've got Hybrid X coming up in a few months. So where was the switch? What happened?
I'll tell you where it all started was I've always been kind of obsessed with the army, and looking back now, I remember that I wanted to join the army, and that
Yeah.
was kind of my first goal fitness wise, because it went from just going to the gym to I want to go in the army now, so get myself ready for those fitness tests. That's that turning moment where it was a driven moment. I like the way that the army train. I like the grittiness and the
Yeah.
discipline, and just tough inside and out. And I feel like now looking back and thinking about it, that's what stuck with me up until now. I'm 25 now, and it was when I was 16 when I wanted to go in the army, and that's stuck with me the whole way through.
Yeah, because people have asked me, that was, oh, is your brother being in the army? I'm like, no. And they're like, oh, he's got that sort of military mindset.
Yeah.
Which is, is a great thing to have. I know a lot of lads who are very successful in the fitness world, and when I say successful, I mean good at what they do, who are out of the military. Because I think one thing that people don't know or can't really understand is people who haven't been in the military, the kind of training and the lifestyle that they've lived for however long they were in there. So how do you balance your physical training and mental preparation? How do you balance those two things?
So I've had a long journey of trying to figure that out myself, because I'm very obsessive with training. So a lot of the years I've just focused mainly on the physical. I've always had a goal for the mental part of it, but putting the actual work in mentally, I haven't really done a lot. I have recently though.
And is that where the page has sort of come from?
That's where the page has come from. So through many years of whatever problem I'd have, instead of asking people, I'd just figure it out myself. I'd research, I'd watch videos, I'd watch a lot of motivational videos. People can say they're bad for scrolling, but for me personally, all it takes is that one quote to just absolutely sort my head out and get me back on track, get me up, which is the main reason I created my own page, because I know how much motivation has helped me. So I wanted to make my own page, because I know that however many views I get, 10-20%, that might help. That might change the life, because it's changed my life.
Absolutely.
With the quotes.
I think that's why I've started this podcast, because I've listened to a lot of podcasts before, especially ones that are sort of about things that I want to develop, because I've, on a sort of like mental strengthening journey. And that's why I wanted to bring people on, people like you who are in the same position, who are growing and doing something really that's good on social media, because there's a lot of shit on there as well.
Yeah.
But that's the position that I'm in. Listen to a lot of podcasts, so wanted to bring one myself that hopefully, if what doesn't matter if one person listens and they can go, oh, that's really resonated with me, or I never thought about it like that. Like even the podcast that I've done before, which is just me talking to the camera and put them on YouTube.
Yeah.
I had a friend message me and he goes, "Oh mate, I love the podcast," and I'm just, for me, like I'm talking about things on the podcast that are like quite simple. I don't mean simple in like a negative way. I mean like when you start to do fitness for a job, you learn these things at the start.
Yeah.
But obviously, there's millions of people who don't do fitness for a job, so those little insights and those little tips and tricks is something that can help that sort of like general population that are just listening because either they know me or they found it you know in deep corners of YouTube that it'll be in a minute. So it's January.
Mhm.
January starters. Gym is busy. Gym has been very busy
It's
this week.
chaos.
It's chaos. But can you remember when you started?
Yeah.
What, let's say, three things around mindset, training, and nutrition do you wish that someone had told you the first step you took into a gym?
Yeah. So, training wise, I wish I knew about progressive overload.
And what is progressive overload?
Um, it's progressively increasing the weight each set you perform on each exercise
Over time.
over time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So going from light to heavy, you're exhausting your muscle, you're straining your muscle, and then actually logging the weights, especially for starting off. As I've got into it more and more, I've become a little bit more lenient. Everyone's different stuff works for different people, but when you first start, like logging those weights, knowing what weight you can lift, not rushing, log what weight you can lift. Go back the next week and lift that same weight and let your muscle get used to it, and then maybe on the third week start increasing that weight, even for the one set out of 3, just to see if you can lift more. If you can, then you start moving on with that stuff. Log booking.
Yep.
Nutrition. I knew nothing about calories. It's crazy. Like, it's so embedded in my brain now, and it is in a lot of people. But as you said with your podcast, when people say, "Oh, that's really helped me," and you think it's simple, people don't know, because I didn't know. I didn't have a clue. When I was in school, getting 2 packs of custard creams and eating all them in one sitting, I had no clue what I was doing to my body.
Or the crisp bags under the couch.
The crisp bags under the couch.
I will never forget that in my life. This is a little stitch up for Ben. So yeah, a little stitch up for Ben. I am 8 years older than Ben. So if you can't do maths, when Ben was like 11, I was about 19. When he was about 9, I was about 17. And I remember my mum making me do some hoovering, but yeah, hoovering, and lifted up the couch, and there was like what I can only describe as a crisp graveyard. It was like crisp in a couch shape, just loads of wrappers, and it used to really piss me off because I would go to the cupboard to get crisps to take for my packed lunch, and there'd only be ready salted left. So yeah, that's your little stitch up, Ben.
Yeah.
So yeah, going back to nutrition. What were you saying?
Just knowing about calories in, calories out, calorie deficit.
Yeah, so that's a good point. When it comes to the gym, it can be an absolute minefield because there's so much information out there. So the best thing that you can do, from my standpoint, is to try and make it simple as possible. Now, one thing that I know that you struggle with is goals, because you're trying to juggle so many at the same time, which a lot of us can be. We want to get big, but we want to get lean. We want to be fast. We want to run far. We want to be strong.
Yeah.
When really, let's say, if you're overweight, prioritize weight loss first, and then when you've prioritized the weight loss, then maybe prioritize getting strong, and when you're strong, then prioritize getting fit, and use it as a journey, your fitness journey, because you can do everything at the same time. But wouldn't you rather hit something at 100% of your effort and your energy, complete it, have it ticked off, and then move on to something else, rather than just doing everything else okay? So that would be my advice for you January starters. And I don't give you a bad rap. I know it makes the gym busy, but the gym being busy is good for my business for sure, because I'm a personal trainer. It's good for the gym's business as well, and we want the gym to have new equipment, and there's a good vibe in the gym as well.
Yeah.
Everyone's working hard. So yeah, that would be my advice for January starters, especially those ones who are trying to lose weight. is just prioritize being in a calorie deficit, understanding energy in and energy out. So a lot of you will have got watches and things like that for your Christmas presents. When that device is telling you you've burnt 1,000 calories in the day, that doesn't mean you can eat 1,000 calories. If you've done your deficit right, and if you haven't done your deficit right, or you're worried, message me on Instagram. It's JL Fitness for Life, and I'll do it for you for free. Your energy expenditure, so how hard you're working, how many times you're going to go to the gym, how many steps you're doing, all that kind of stuff has already been worked out in your calories. So don't eat the calories that you burn, because what you can do there is create a negative relationship with food. And this is something my old boss used to tell me, who will be on the podcast next as well, looking forward to that, is if you have that relationship with food where you think, if I eat this, then I've got to run on a treadmill. You burn like 200 calories an hour or half an hour on a treadmill. Can you imagine?
It's not a good cycle.
One chocolate bar, 30-minute run.
Yeah, it's not a good cycle. It's not worth
that.
it. That's one thing I learned the most is I remember seeing a quote, one of many quotes. It's either that you sacrifice your long-term goal for that 30 seconds pleasure.
Absolutely.
Like when you're eating that chocolate bar, you're literally doing that just for that 1 minute of dopamine to the brain.
Yeah.
That's it. You're like, a chocolate bar is not doing anything for your body. So you are literally doing it for the chemical within your brain to give you that feel-good feeling. And then straight after, you're just regretful of.
Absolutely. And me and you, we both know that we are weak as piss around chocolate, sweets. I just bought, how many did you get in a box? 9?
Yeah.
9 of those
blondies.
protein blondies from Way Better Bites, which is unreal, by the way. So if you haven't, Alex is a great lad. Makes really tasty snacks.
Yeah,
I've had
good.
3 boxes since my birthday.
Good stuff.
But I met him at 6:30 last night. It's 3:30 now the next day, and there's 1 left in the box. Sarah's had 1 and you've had 1.
Yeah.
That's
so
it.
you've had 7 or 6.
I don't even want to work it out.
6 in less than a day.
Yeah, because there's still 1 in there. Oh God.
We're all human.
But that's I've only had 2 of them blondies today, and that's it.
Yeah.
And like water. So yeah, it's not ideal. I will be eating a very nutritious, protein-focused meal for my tea and getting my steps in. Anyway, one more thing for the people who are starting in January. If you do get to a point where you have had the chocolate bar because you've given into the craving, don't starve yourself. I'm not starving myself because I've had those protein brownies. I'm just genuinely, I've had coffee and big thing of water, so I'm not that hungry. There's a thing called calorie borrowing. There's lots of videos on YouTube about it, and very simply and very quickly, you can borrow 50 calories out of your deficit for the next 10 days, and that's 2 chocolate bars worth of calories, and it's like it will have never have happened. Okay, so if you do mess up, because you are going to mess up, because nobody's perfect, then just focus on the calorie borrowing and just getting back on the horse, isn't it?
Yep.
So back to you, Ben. A little bit more about you and your training. There's a very interesting question. So, what strategies do you use to stay disciplined even on difficult days?
You want the honest answer?
Yeah, absolutely.
I just tell myself to stop being a little bitch and get up. As I said, I've watched so many motivational videos. It's that's what I mean with there's positives and negatives to it, because you can overcompensate, you can over train. So, but the strategies I use are just pure willpower and determination. I'm very focused on being mentally strong, mentally tough. So when times get hard, because for so many years I've told myself to keep going and not give up. It's kind of a natural thought now of, if things are hard, it doesn't matter. I keep going. Um,
Absolutely. And you've been, in 3 fight camps.
yeah,
I think 2 were back to back as well, weren't they?
yeah,
Pretty
yeah,
much.
yeah. One was in June, one was in November.
Um, and that if anybody, I've only been in one. Uh, and if anybody has been in, and we're talking about unlicensed boxing here, we're not talking about professional or anything like that. But the standard of training is it's less skillful, but I imagine it's just as hard, and it's as hard as you want to push yourself, really. Um, but I know that when you are in a fight camp, that you don't stop. So, which obviously for someone who is coming from a place of starting is not really how you want to be, is it? If you're just starting the gym, you don't want to be
No, you don't want to be non-stop. You want to.
training twice a day and
No, it's because I've done it for so many years. My body can handle it. Because of the way that my mindset is, it can handle it. But for the majority of people, it's not the best idea. The best idea is to just ease yourself into training, keep it sustainable. If you overtrain, you're going to injure yourself, you're going to be fatigued, which you're then going to skip training because
and you're gonna want to eat to
you're too
replace that
ruined.
energy.
Yeah, you're gonna want to eat more. Sometimes, if you overtrain, you mistake tiredness for being hungry. So because you're tired, your body craves more food, but that's more food than you need for the day. So you crave more food over the calories you should be having for that day. That's why overtraining is not the best. It's like the same with dieting. If you starve yourself too much, um, it's not sustainable. Like you'll keep it up for a few days, but after a few days, you're just gonna break and you're gonna binge eat, and you're gonna all those calories you've starved yourself off, you're gonna eat them all times two, times three.
100%.
So
I already seen people and multiple people posting, half empty buckets of roses and saying, fuck's sake, I've failed already. And
yeah,
but to those people, you haven't failed already. You've just tripped at like the first hurdle, but you just need to get back up and get going. A really good thing with the work rest ratio is work rest work rest work rest rest. That's why people
yeah,
train Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Don't train at the weekend, or if you're busy in the week, train at the weekend. Don't train in the week. Just make sure that you are resting because that is where you're going to get those gains because it's where your body is going to heal. Um, Talking about hurdles, can you describe any mental hurdles that you've faced during your training and how you overcame them?
um, so I've had a few times. I think it's quite common with the gym industry. I'll be smashing my goals, or my training will be on point, and then all of a sudden something will just tick, and I feel like I start questioning my training. Is it working? It's like my body just comes to a reset, and I start questioning my training. Am I training right? Am I training enough? Am I training too much? So that's the mental hurdle of where planning would overcome that, a proper plan.
Absolutely.
Because I don't properly plan, I just do everything. Um, you come a
It's hard to measure success, isn't it, if you don't have a plan?
Yeah, you start because you're not following someone else's plan where they know it's going to work.
Yeah.
You're just doing your own thing. That can affect you mentally because you're not sure if you're doing the right thing or not. It's like trial and error. You're testing the waters and stuff.
Yeah, and I think that comes in as well as like some people who have a negative relationship with food, they eat their feelings.
Yeah,
Some people have a negative relationship with the gym, they train how they feel.
yeah, that's me all over.
You know what I mean? So like some days you'll walk into the gym like you pressed 40s the other day.
Yeah.
because you were feeling it. You know, you'd worked up to it. That period of time when you went up to those 40s, you kind of had a little bit of a plan
Yeah, I did.
because you were getting progressively heavier
Yeah.
each push session. But before that, and you probably were that strong before you had that plan. You know what I mean? But because you were mentally there, you repped the 40s, which is, if you don't go to the gym, or you do go to the gym, you know that 20's the first, like, bottom goal.
That's
like
when you
starter goal, isn't it?
Yeah, confirmed. You're confirmed as a gym
bro,
rat.
or what's the one for a girl? I don't even know the one for a girl. Then you got the 30s.
That's gym rat.
Yeah, and then you've got, it goes up by 10, I think, basically from there. I'm still stuck around 35s. My excuse at the minute is I got one elbow, so did 30s today, one elbow, which was all right. That's a good point. So you like to run as well as the weight training. Like I said, Ben is a hybrid athlete, and we're going to test how much of a hybrid athlete you are in April, I think it is, when we do the barn.
Yeah, we will, yeah. That's the one training I haven't done.
Yeah, I know. So you've had niggles with your foot, knee, shoulders, wrists. So with someone who relies so heavily on the gym for, like, your emotional health, how do you tackle injuries? What do you do?
Probably not the best person to ask, because I'll just go hard until I injure myself. But I'm starting to slowly learn I've learned recently, if you get any slight niggle, any slight pain, just stop doing that. At least stop doing that exercise and move on to something else.
Okay, but let's say the pain comes the next day. What do you do? How do you react? Let's say you do your shoulder. What does the rest of the week look like? You do your shoulder on Monday. Then what does Ben do from there?
I'll definitely rest for a couple of days. Because I've learnt the hard way. If you carry on going, you just prolong the injury. It lasts a lot longer. It takes a lot longer to heal. It can go from a week to heal to 2 months. I've been out before. So I'd switch my training up. So if my shoulder's a bit knackered, but I still need to exercise for my mental health, I'll run more instead. I'll do more legs. I'll do more cardio. If my knee's a bit damaged, I'll switch up to a bit more upper body.
Yeah.
Boxing.
Exactly. So
I'll
you
swap
can
it around.
Still get the work in.
Yeah.
Even if you're. So me personally, I've got 2 really annoying injuries in the minute. I've had plantar fasciitis for about 6 months from playing too much football, and since my fight, I've had golfer's elbow, which is very, very frustrating. But one thing I will say is, if you don't do your recovery, you can end up having these little niggles for a very, very, very long time. I know old boys who've had manual jobs like building or labouring or things like that, young, had repetitive strain injuries in shoulders or elbows. Sarah's dad done his shoulders in, and now in their old age can't put their hands directly above their head, or can't sit down to a chair without making all kinds of noises. And that's really why I'm training now. I mean, we got 2 different eyes. So you're 25, I'm 33. So, like, in my head, I'm training to be fit when I'm 45.
Yeah.
Whereas you're still in your 20s. Like, you don't even
think
about being old yet. Okay, yeah. Mohid, we can hear the RGC guys going fucking crazy in there. So last thing about mindset now is, what would you say to someone who is struggling with their mindset, with confidence in themselves, negative self-talk, with how they look or how they fit into society? What would you say to that person, and how to get out of that? Maybe they're living in, negative cycles of,
Yeah.
you know, smoking, alcohol, drugs, whatever it is. What would you say to that person to get out of that space?
One thing I will say is it will be okay. Um, Clouds pass over, and there's always sunshine there. Um, Life is a roller coaster. It's highs and lows, whether you like it or not. I promise you, you will come back up again. Um, Focus on yourself. It all comes down to loving yourself first before anything else. You need to take care of yourself. You need self-love. Do some internal work. Meditation's really good to clear the mind if your mind's all snaggy. Guided meditation on YouTube, 10-minute videos. Just type in 10-minute guided meditation video and just trust it. It's nothing, if you're not very spiritual, you don't have to be. It's scientifically proven. So,
Yeah. A lot of evidence now, isn't
yeah. Get yourself out. Depends on the level of what level you're on, but if we're talking, if you're feeling very negative all the time, I can tell you that it's a choice. I've been there. It's only you that can get yourself out of that mindset. Happiness is a choice, and this is the things I've learned from a lot of research myself, and you can do the same. Use Google as your Bible. Literally type in how to be happy, how to get out of a negative mindset, how to be more positive, and you'll see advice on there. Not everything will stick, but you'll get a sentence at a time, a word at a time, and it'll stick in your mind. And as time goes by, you'll just become more wise. You'll start spotting signs of the way you're feeling. You'll realize that, it's your own fault in a way. I know the external things make you feel bad. We're all human, but from years of researching it, you can decide to be happy and positive no matter what is going on in your life. It's a long journey and a long road, but some tips to maybe be more positive, or to feel better: get outside, be within nature,
Jump in the sea.
jump in the sea, go for cold dips. Trust me, it clears your mind, because your brain, if you go in the sea and it's freezing cold, your brain thinks you're gonna die.
Yeah.
So it does not have any room to think about any other issue other than I need to survive. And that is why cold water dips are key. Because once you get out, there is no better feeling, there's no better high, because you get out of that cold water and your body starts trying to warm up, and the amount of endorphins and rush that comes to your brain is unreal. And that is the beauty of a cold dip, and it makes you so much more mentally tough. Makes you a lot thicker skin, because you're purposely putting yourself in uncomfortable situations. You're choosing to put yourself through that hardship, which then brings you to when something wrong goes on in your life, because you're so used to putting yourself through pain in a way, it's less painful. You basically make yourself more tough.
You build confidence with yourself, don't you?
You build confidence with yourself. And say we're using cold dips as an example, you're being disciplined doing that. You're having willpower. And that's one thing I've noticed, because from my long history of trying to be disciplined with many things. If you say you're going to do something and you do it, that builds your willpower. And I promise you, the more you do it, the more you say, even if it's I'm going to make my bed in the morning, the more you say something and do it, your self-confidence, you trust yourself more. You basically trust your word, because when you say you're going to do something and you don't do it, you're basically lying to yourself, and that lowers your self-respect. So, as I said, like, all in all, it's all about self-love, self-respect, self-confidence. It's about building yourself up as an individual.
Absolutely. Just sort of paraphrase what you're saying there is, it starts with you.
Starts with you. Yeah.
And it's because I think me and Ben have both been in that situation where you hit rock bottom and you have to build. And this is sort of like my ascent from rock bottom. Is, it's been a long, long road. Sobriety, leaving old friend groups, things like that. But I still work now from that person I was at rock bottom, because I have to make sure that I never return there.
Yeah.
And now, but I'm so confident in the fact that even when shit happens, we lost our grandparents, all the things, that negative aspects of life that would previously, to the person that I was before I built this confidence with myself, would knock me for six, and I would go down old paths and old routes. And yeah, so those small wins, compiling those small wins, building that confidence with yourself. And for me, like, I've always loved boxing, but I've always been terrified of violence. So to put myself through that fight 2 months ago,
yeah,
I'm on cloud 9.
Yeah.
I lost. Not even did I just lose, but I got stopped.
No one loses getting in the ring, though.
No, for sure. But I lost. And this goes out to Kieran Thomas. I know you're trying to keep me safe, but if you look at the clock on the video on YouTube, I had 20 seconds left to get the referee's decision. And to be honest, I think I lost the fight for sure. He dropped me. He would have dropped me twice if it had gone to the final decision. But at the same time, and I said it the whole time, I couldn't believe through that 6-month fight camp how confident I was.
Yeah.
How I just had one goal. I got ADHD, so like, I'm like you. I'm trying to juggle everything and doing everything, not half-arsed, but not as well as I could do if I just focused on one thing.
Yeah.
So if I was talking to that person who I was maybe 3 years ago, first thing I'd say is get in the gym. Second thing I'd say, which is something I'm still working on now, drink water. Like, you don't understand how being incredibly dehydrated affects your mental health.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, it actually does. And I used to think my mum used to tell me all the time, oh, you gotta drink water. She used to think, fuck off. What are you on about? Now I'm focusing on my hydration. Like, I feel great.
Yeah.
Your body, we're 70% water. I might have to Google that after.
I think it's 70, yeah.
But there's a reason why we are, and that's how our cells work like that. Yeah. So, firstly, get in the gym. Two, get outside. That was a really good one. Because the other thing about being outside, we live in Wales, so like, we're blessed with the mountains and how absolutely gorgeous this place is. 3, hydrated, and 4, do things you enjoy. If you're still in the mindset where you enjoy session and drinking and blah blah, try other shit, because I promise you, 90% of stuff is way more fun than that.
Yeah.
Go climbing or try picking up a sport or something like that, because when you play a sport, you don't wake up and feel shit for a week when you haven't made an idiot out of yourself or done something that you regret. So for that person who's sitting there, with negative self-talk, just start doing things better. And that sounds easy to do. It's not. But if you did one thing tomorrow that made you a little bit better than you were today, and then
Mhm.
you did the same thing the day after, and you did something else, that's two things. That's where the building self
Yeah.
confidence comes in.
Yeah.
So, what is the future of Be Inspired 3Ds underscore BR? What would be dream level of
Dream
that
level
path?
would be to have a very large following, one that's worldwide, that helps a lot of people. Maybe link up with other accounts, do something with that. If you're asking dreamland, who knows? Big conferences for everyone to come together, share life advice, share motivational stories and tips and methods, and just everyone coming together, because the UK anyway is so separated. We don't. It's very rare for people to come together. We're very separated. But I'd love to bring the UK together, and I've been to certain conference kind of things before, and it's a great thing to go to, especially if you're at your lonely stage in life where you feel like you're made for more, but you haven't really found those kind of people that you're going to meet one day. You go to these kind of conferences and you realize, wow, there's so many people like me. There's so many people that want more out of life. There's so many people that are here for inspiration and here for each other, and it's just a great thing to go to, just to reassure you that there are people out there. Maybe not where you live, maybe not around you at the minute. There probably are a lot of people like yourself around you, but you just haven't met them yet. Maybe you're just not ready yet, and you've got a bit more learning to do, or a bit more growing to do before you meet that new people. But yeah, I'd like to basically get the page out there and just grow and help more people. That's the goal. Just
100%.
share the love.
Absolutely. Well, been absolutely incredible to have you on the pod.
Your
First
brother.
guest. Yep, we'll be back with my old boss, the guy who gave me my first step into the fitness world. He will be on the next episode. Looking forward to that. Hoping that we can keep bringing the guests on and it doesn't go back to me being monologue. But if it does, then cool, that's no problem. But we have a nice list. Got some really, really cool people lined up. And yeah, until the next one, see ya.